Welcome to ZBCN Today, your daily dose of deep crypto insight. We don't chase hype, we explain it. From token launches to global regulation, from whales to retail panic, this is where complex stories become clear. Whether you've been trading for years or just started learning what blockchain really means, this channel helps you understand the forces driving the market. So sit back, relax, and let's get right into the facts that matter today. The market's energy surrounding this token is electric. Prices are fluctuating like crazy, narratives are evolving by the hour, and every major crypto discussion forum seems to be echoing with speculation, analysis, and heated arguments. At the time of recording, ZBCN is sitting at roughly $0.0036.7, hovering around that level after what can only be described as one of the most volatile trading weeks since its recent exchange listing. And according to one of the best-known independent crypto analysts online, a content creator who goes by the handle Digital Nomad DNI, what we're witnessing could actually be the modern-day equivalent of XRP's legendary 2017 run, the one that took the token from fractions of a cent to an unbelievable $3.40 at its peak. He's not exaggerating. He's making a structured comparison between the early technical and regulatory setups of XRP back then and what's now happening with ZBCN today. This content is for informational purposes only and not financial advice. Always do your own research before investing in crypto. The difference, he argues, is that this time around, the fundamentals are stronger and the infrastructure is real. Back in 2017, XRP had vision, ambition, and an emerging narrative about transforming the way banks move value. But at that time, there weren't fully operational payment rails. The partnerships were mostly in exploratory phases, and compliance frameworks like ISO 2022 hadn't yet reached global adoption. ZBCN, on the other hand, is launching into a market where those pieces are finally in place. We're talking about real integrations with financial networks, actual Visa-related partnerships, fintech payment pipelines that already exist, and compliance alignment with international standards. In other words, ZBCN is entering a playing field where blockchain finance has matured. So, while XRP represented a dream, ZBCN could be executing that dream with real-world mechanics already functioning behind the scenes. That's the context behind the excitement. It's not just a meme or a speculative fantasy. Now, let's move into the numbers because that's where things start to get spicy. The analyst known as ZBCN Man, who's been actively modeling price projections and supply dynamics, recently broke down some hypothetical portfolio comparisons that got a lot of people talking. Let's say you own 2 million ZBCN tokens, and you're comparing that to a portfolio containing 3,300 XRP. If ZBCN eventually rises to just 50 cents, that portfolio would be worth a clean $1 million. Meanwhile, if XRP were to reach $300 per token, which sounds insane but is actually conservative compared to some predictions circulating online, that same 3,300 XRP would also be worth right around $990,000. The takeaway isn't that one token is guaranteed to outperform the other. It's that both have radically different paths to achieving similar portfolio results. It makes you think differently about position sizing, entry timing, and what it actually means to balance risk versus potential return in a maturing market like crypto. But of course, not everyone is buying the ZBCN as the next XRP narrative. And honestly, that's healthy because a balanced market needs skeptics. A well-known trader who goes by the alias Führer jumped into the discussion with a blunt counterpoint. ZBCN won't hit 50 cents this cycle. In fact, he argues that it's more likely XRP reaches $1,000 before 2030 than ZBCN ever touches even $1. Now that's an extraordinary claim, and to be fair, if XRP did reach $1,000, it would probably be one of the most explosive revaluations in financial history. His reasoning is based on fundamentals. XRP has a massive institutional network, clearer regulatory momentum, and a tighter circulating supply. The ecosystem around Ripple is already connected to major global banks, and years of regulatory battles have ironically made it one of the most legally resilient assets in crypto. Yet, ZBCN Man wasn't backing down. His counterargument was that if XRP ever does reach $1,000, the entire blockchain finance sector, especially ISO-aligned payment tokens, would explode in value along with it. That would naturally lift ZBCN. His reasoning was elegant. Both tokens exist under similar macro conditions, both operate in the same regulatory era, and both benefit from a world that's increasingly digitizing its value systems. So imagine this. If you hold 10 million ZBCN tokens and ZBCN reaches just $1, you're sitting on $10 million. For XRP holders to achieve that same figure, XRP would need to be $1,000 per token, and you'd need 10,000 XRP. The psychological and financial accessibility between acquiring 10 million ZBCN versus 10,000 XRP is completely different. For a new investor entering today, building a multi-million ZBCN position is feasible. Building a multi-thousand XRP position is not nearly as easy at current prices. Still, Führer's criticisms shouldn't be dismissed. He brought up valid points about market cap, adoption, and network maturity. XRP's ecosystem has deeper banking relationships and more established liquidity corridors, and he added an interesting sociological observation that much of the ZBCN hype seems to be driven by investors who missed the XRP wave back in 2017 and are searching for a new hero asset to replicate that experience. That's actually an insightful critique, but it doesn't invalidate ZBCN's underlying strengths. The two tokens can coexist, each with distinct roles within the digital finance landscape. XRP remains the institutional bridge asset, while ZBCN is building retail-driven, fintech-integrated payment rails. Now, let's talk about tokenomics, because this is where Deepak Mukram, a respected blockchain researcher, provided some crucial clarity. According to his deep dive, the real difference between ZBCN and XRP isn't just branding or partnerships, it's the release structure. ZBCN has a total supply of 100 billion tokens similar to XRP. But here's the important part. Over 92 billion are already in circulation, and the project is on track to be almost fully unlocked by March 2026. That means very little new dilution in the future. There won't be hidden token unlocks or supply cliffs that could suddenly flood the market. Compare that to XRP's ongoing monthly escrow releases, which inject 1 billion XRP every single month. That steady inflow creates continuous price pressure, a headwind that ZBCN's structure largely avoids. Zebec's early full release allows the market to find real value sooner, fostering organic price discovery instead of artificially delayed growth. In crypto, that level of transparency and front-loaded distribution is actually rare, and it's a fundamental strength. Whales seem to have noticed. According to RWA365, an on-chain analytics platform, a massive whale wallet recently bought nearly 29 million ZBCN tokens, valued at approximately $112,000. Large accumulations like this rarely happen by accident. Whales often have access to early information, strategic insights, or institutional whispers before the rest of the market catches on. So when a big player quietly builds a position after a dip, it's usually a signal worth watching. The timing of this buy was particularly interesting because it happened right after ZBCN's Kraken listing on October 17th, an event that initially triggered a sharp price decline. In the week leading up to that listing, ZBCN surged by more than 21%, peaking around $0.0052.8. But as soon as the listing went live, the classic buy the rumor, sell the news effect hit. Traders took profits, and the token dropped roughly 16%, landing right back near 0.0036.7. To add more perspective, data from CoinGlass shows that open interest in Zebec futures fell dramatically from over $30 million in early June to about $5.9 million by mid-October, a staggering 80% decline in speculative leverage. On the surface, that sounds negative, but it can actually be healthy for long-term stability. High open interest inflates volatility. When it cools off, the market resets, making room for organic growth instead of short-term manipulation. Right now, ZBCN is trading almost exactly at its 200-day exponential moving average, a line that often serves as the dividing point between bullish recovery and continued weakness. Technically, it's consolidating within a range between $0.0036 and $0.0050, a channel that's been in place since mid-September. The RSI sits around 42, indicating mildly bearish momentum, but nowhere near oversold. If the price closes below $0.0036, the next support is around $0.0034. But if buyers defend this area and push above $0.0045, the token could reclaim the $0.0050 level quickly. However, we can't analyze ZBCN in isolation. The broader market is under heavy macro pressure right now. Regulatory uncertainty remains a massive overhang. The SEC's no-action letter for certain DPIN tokens earlier this month temporarily provided relief, but subsequent government shutdown delays have stalled progress on multiple ETF approvals. That uncertainty is pushing investors back towards safer assets. As a result, Bitcoin's market dominance has climbed to 59.2%, and capital is rotating away from mid-cap tokens into top-tier assets. The result is a cascading effect. Projects like Render, Filecoin, and Theta Network have all fallen between 11% and 15%, while Helium and even Ethereum have dropped more than 15% in just days. So when you see ZBCN pulling back, understand that it's not just a project-specific correction. It's part of a sector-wide rotation triggered by global uncertainty and shifting liquidity flows. Now, let's zoom back to fundamentals again, because Zebec's broader mission is worth understanding. According to its official documentation, the Zebec ecosystem is being designed to create a future where real-world value can flow continuously, seamlessly, and instantly. Their vision revolves around real-time payment streaming. Think of it as a financial infrastructure where money doesn't move in static transactions, but rather flows like data packets over the internet. For example, instead of paying salaries every 2 weeks, companies could stream wages to employees per second. Investors could receive yield distributions in real time. Cross-border settlements could occur instantly without waiting days for bank intermediaries. That's the world Zebec is building toward. It's not just theory. It's already being tested through partnerships and pilot programs with fintech firms across Asia and the United States. But fundamentals only tell part of the story. Short-term price action still revolves around psychology, liquidity, and whale movement. Right now, we're seeing a classic accumulation and distribution cycle play out. Early traders who bought during the hype are taking profits, while long-term holders and smart money are quietly building positions in anticipation of the next phase. Historically, this is how the early stages of every major bull run begin. Weak hands exit, whales reposition, sentiment turns bearish, and then, when everyone least expects it, the reversal hits. The key question isn't whether ZBCN has potential, it's whether it can maintain momentum long enough for that potential to manifest before the next macro push. Let's be honest here, the comparison to XRP's 2017 explosion is fascinating but not guaranteed. Markets evolve, regulatory landscapes shift, liquidity behaves differently in every cycle. Back then, the crypto space was tiny compared to today. Retail capital could move entire ecosystems. Now institutions dominate order books, and the algorithms watching this market are far more sophisticated. That doesn't mean ZBCN can't perform. It just means the playbook has changed. The upside potential is real, but so are the risks. From a personal analytical standpoint, ZBCN's tokenomics are cleaner than most, its infrastructure partnerships are credible, and its alignment with ISO 2022 places it directly inside the next generation of compliant financial rails. However, we're still dealing with a volatile, sentiment-driven space. The short-term environment looks like consolidation, not explosion. Long-term, though, if Zebec continues executing its roadmap, if Visa integrations deepen, and if institutions begin experimenting with streaming payments, then the story becomes a lot bigger than a price chart. It becomes about who controls the future of digital cash flow. So here's the bottom line. ZBCN has interesting fundamentals, intelligent token design, and the right macro narrative, but it's still operating in a fragile, risk-off market environment. XRP, on the other hand, is already battle-tested but faces its own long-term growth ceiling due to escrow emissions. Both tokens could thrive under the right global conditions. Both could also stagnate if regulatory or liquidity pressures persist. This isn't about choosing one over the other. It's about understanding how each fits within the broader evolution of blockchain finance. Always remember, none of this is financial advice. This is analytical commentary based on publicly available data and current market behavior. The crypto market can move violently in either direction. Double-digit swings are normal. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always consult a licensed financial professional before making allocation decisions. Diversify, stay informed, and keep your emotions in check. At the end of the day, markets are driven by stories. And right now, ZBCN's story is one of potential, speculation, and early infrastructure promise. Whether that translates into life-changing gains or just another chapter in crypto history will depend on execution, regulation, and timing. But one thing's for sure, this space moves faster than anything else in finance, and those who keep learning, analyzing, and adapting are the ones who come out ahead. And that's it for today's deep dive from ZBCN Today. If you found value in this breakdown, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Drop your thoughts below. I read every single comment and tell me which coin or topic you want covered next. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Because in crypto, timing is everything. Stay focused, stay patient, and I'll see you in the next one.